of league play. I think he won all those races before stumbling, I believe, in week 5. Had a lesser result than he was used to. The others all kind of steadily made good progress, lots of wins and second place finishes, and here we go. So right off the bat, we're not seeing any spells, and we're seeing only 8 strength and 11 agility for the runners. Fortunately, they are starting with about 27 hit points, which could be a little bit of a saving grace if they get into a so-called tickle fight with a monster that also has very weak strength. So they could potentially outlast some of the really weak monsters. Skeletons seem to be doing a lot of damage on jkoper's screen. Whereas, what do we have for the Magidrake? Breathing fire, so we can eliminate both of those monsters as being the noodle. What did we have for jkoper and betastrep? They're also back in the penalty box, so no luck early on here for our runners. A Droll and a Wolf Lord. Droll's casting Stop Spell. And Wolf Lord's with the big smash, and the Droll with the big boy breath. Will Wagner striking out. And finds a town directly to the southwest, and a Droll Magi with a 9-point attack to finish him off. But the early town, not so useful because they don't have anything that they can sell except maybe for the torch. You could sell that torch for, I don't know, 6 gold, and guess what? You could get some really good equipment for 6 gold in Chaos mode. We also have Stones of Sunlight Cave. What was there? Did we really see the big stick in the Stones of Sunlight Cave directly to the south for you?
We did indeed.
Well, that's a good way to get started.
I have both Jackimus and betastrep finding it almost simultaneously.
So, yeah, a lot of times you don't really want to do a whole lot of exploration to sell and you don't have any gold, but, you know, if you can just go a few squares down and find that Stones of Sunlight Cave with Erdrick's sword, my goodness, the runners that don't find that for a few minutes are going to be behind. And so we have some quick levels already. Betastrep up to level 5 or so. Level 7 for JackimusWedge already after just a half a minute. So no problem killing a lot of these enemies now that they have some decent attack power. No need to necessarily find that noodle monster we were talking about. So rapid development, and jkoper continues to be going west instead of south, and I think same with WillWagnerMusic finds it. So sword in hand, jkoper still just hasn't gone in that direction, finds a cave to the northwest instead.
And look at this, already level 9, not even barely 3 minutes in, and we found level.
Yeah, and that's only about what, 300 experience to reach level 9. So you can see that this seed happened to have the early levels clumped quite closely together, and it is the Rainbow Drop cave off to the northwest. So that's 4 locations in the books already. I didn't catch which town that was. Did Will Wagner make it into the town review?
I think we've actually seen the town. I think that was Breckenary.
Not always the one you want to see right off the bat, but there may be some useful things to buy there. And Rimmildar for JackimusWedge. So we have early keys 5 minutes into the race.
Yeah, that's certainly one that you want to see right off the bat, though.
Yeah, especially after you've gotten some early kills and you have a little bit of gold under your belt. Some enemies could be giving up to 255 gold pieces per kill. And he does seem to have enough for 5 keys, or for 6 keys. So excellent timing on discovering Rimmildar for JackimusWedge. There's a chest right in this town behind 2 locked doors. And then there's also 4 more directly back at Tantegel Castle. We could find some more quest items. Potentially, well, what sort of things were for sale there?
Get a large shield at least for 16 gold, and look at the flame sword. Too bad we already.
Yeah. Well, a large shield for cheap is a really nice pickup. Sometimes you don't even necessarily need the silver shield. Kind of depends on your stat growth, and having that large shield early is really helpful. Eventually you'll be finding Erdrick's armor, so sometimes if things are going well, you don't necessarily want to go out of your way to pick up any armor, but that shield, especially that large shield for cheap, that's a good one.
And I see we have a sword pickup for jkoper now, so everyone has their big stick, and it looks like Healmore came within one of those 9.
While Jackimus was buying those keys, Betastrep somehow got another 1,000 experience points on something. He's like up to about 1,600 experience points while I was watching Jackimus buy those keys. So something out there is giving a lot of experience. And Betastrep must have taken down a few of those enemies, while Jackimus now is on his way through Mountain Cave already, looking to open up even more treasure chests. Looking primarily for this silver harp, which is guaranteed to be in a treasure chest and is a required item in order to access the final dungeon, along with the Stones of Sunlight, which they started the seed with. And eventually they're going to want to find the token, which is a bit more tricky to find, since that can also be on a search spot. But yeah, some quick experience and exploration by the runners on our 2 top screens, while it took WillWagnerMusic and jkoper just a few extra minutes to find Erdrick's sword, so they're a few minutes behind. But still pretty early. Plenty of time to catch up. Tracker Smashy noting the wolf is worth over 200 experience per kill, and they've been relatively easy and frequent on Betastrep's side with the Erdrick sword in hand. So that explains some of the quick experience, and they're quickly getting to the point where they got to start finding some stuff, because they're gonna get these levels a little bit too fast. It seems they're gonna be ready to finish the game. They don't yet have access to Charlotte Castle.
Well, speaking of finding stuff, Jackimus did find the silver harp hiding in Mountain.
All right. So a fruitful search of that dungeon, leading to the second of the 3 quest items already. And keys now for Betastrep as well. Seems to be on a similar route with Jackimus, exploration-wise, and still maintaining almost 1,000-point lead over Jackimus, and even a bit more so over the other runners, although Will Wagner now crossing the 4-figure mark, also on level 9. jkoper reaching level 9 as well.
And I don't want to jinx anything, throw commentator's curse on it or anything, but this is shaping up to be a fairly nice chaos seed here.
And there's the spell menu on jkoper's side. They have quite a few spells. I see regular heal there. One of the major spells, either heal more or hurt more, was learned. I guess it might have been heal more according to our tracker. And a plethora of additional spells as well. They have hardly any reason to ever use the spells right now because they're just swinging the big stick. But occasionally just topping off with that regular heal spell is a great luxury while you're exploring the overworld. So shaping up to be a pretty easy seed so far. Now anything can happen in Sharlock, and particularly in the Dragon Lord fight, so stay tuned. But so far it's just a frantic sprint to try and find overworld locations and to acquire those quest items, as well as Erdrick's armor. Let's see who does the best job of covering the map and finding everything as quickly as possible.
And Jackimus did do a little money printing. Don't know if there's anything we found to print money for, but I guess we'll see here in Brickman.
I think he bought the half plate, which is an interesting plan to go out of your way to do a little bit of gold grinding for that particular item, but
yeah, it looks like
you must have seen it in that shop previously, and it's a little bit of extra defense breaking a few enemies now perhaps, and taking a little bit less damage, so picks that up on the nearby town and moves on to the west.
Yeah, it looks like he might have taken a death out of the mountain cave, whether intentional or not. It did occur, so a little bit of an easy grind while collecting what was in the treasury, and then may as well get some armor while we're at it.
And Betastrep is the first to check out the base segment of Tantigo Castle, and it is Swamp South, so Swamp Cave in the basement does have outside, so you can go directly through from south to north, and does not back into Garenham, instead gets dumped out into a swamp on the other side, on a presumably on a separate continent. And find some Axe Knights to kill for about 86 experience points, so not too bad. Seems to be right over on the west edge of the world there.
Yeah, that'd be something to keep in mind, being that the swamp is in the basement of the castle. If Sharlock is on the other side and you decide to put on a death necklace, you will no longer be able to get to Sharlock without having that death necklace removed.
So our first look at the boss monster in Hawksness is a armored knight who seems to be swinging relatively... No, I'm sorry, no, he didn't make it to the boss tile yet. He just happened to run into an armored knight on the way. A few steps away from the spike tile, which is one of our 3 search spots. They are still looking for Erdrick's armor after all.
And they have a hard-hitting spectre.
They do have Heal More. He's going to try and just outlast it. He does take down the Spectre. 106 experience points if he wanted to do that as a grind. But he's going to search the spot.
It wouldn't be a terrible grind. And looks like on betastrep side, on the other continent, we have a tablet cave being found.
Yeah, and so the fairy flute was picked up in Hawksness, means that the Erdrick's armor will instead be in the town of Cole, which hasn't been found yet, or we may need the old town of Cantlin. But in the meanwhile, the token are in this chest and the tablet cave, and it is just a torch. So, already having the radiant spell, a torch is not the greatest thing. Oftentimes you do want at least one for your Sharlock dive, but was hoping for something more exciting than that probably, and he casts the return spell from there, so perhaps it was kind of a small second continent and he pretty much full cleared it, and he'll move on in a different direction from there.
Yeah, it did appear that I saw the western side, and then north and east is what dead-ended into that cave, so it did appear like that might have been all there was to the others.
Yeah, interestingly, I don't think Jackimus has died yet since he got keys. I'm not... Maybe I'm... Oh, never mind. He did the gold grind out of the mountain cave. That's right, but I don't remember him going into the basement yet, so... What's interesting is, he's already seen one of the search spots, so he knows now that the coordinates may be more or less required. Just got a good 200 and something experience point kill there, but I wonder if next time he dies, if it might be useful to go ahead and just grab the princess kind of en route, They seem to be powerful enough to fight most enemies already. And if you already have like 1 or 2 search spots under your belt and you don't have Erdrick's armor yet, maybe you just grab the princess. She's just right there next to the castle. But we'll see when we get that far, if coordinates are required.
And too bad the king, being that it's just right there in the back of the castle, can't just go get his own princess.
Perhaps he doesn't have any magic keys. I don't know. You think he would. He has a magic key shop right in his own premises there, but...
And I said, I'd be yelling at that key vendor for not unlocking that door.
Go unlock that door. Bring that princess back. Make haste. And jkoper now has reached level 10, and haven't seen too much found from him yet. He seems like he was staying closer to home, trying to grind an extra level there. It's just maybe upgrading to the half plate, or what else do we see here? This might be his first look, and he does just barely afford the half plate, so he'll upgrade to that. Half plate for jkoper, and the only other one that we see having any equipment at all is Jackimus. The others just kind of running around naked, trying to kill as many things as possible. WillWagnerMusic and betastrep both do have some decent gold on hand. They just need to find a shop to spend it.
And Smashy, our tracker, noting that jkoper considering selling the big stick, which interestingly enough, in Chaos, the big stick does receive a value of more than 1 gold, whereas in Vanilla, that is all you will receive for the legendary sword is 1 gold. Talon would be having a heart attack.
Yeah, I suppose if that same shop had, let's say, a silver shield that you needed a few thousand for, and magic armor or something like that, that's a great play to buy a really cheap weapon in the shop. And if you get a rebate from your Erdrick sword, then you get some free money there by buying the cheap weapon, and you can just walk directly south back into that Stones of Sunlight cave and reacquire the Erdrick's sword. It wouldn't be much trouble at all to do that 2 or 3 times and print some money. But situation wasn't quite right. That particular shop didn't have any real cheap items for sale, and nothing really valuable to buy either. So he passed on that plan. But that's you can also do that if Erdrick's armor happens to be on the coal search spot. That's another really good place to consider that tactic. You can sell the Erdrick's armor with the same concept of buying a really cheap piece of armor and repeating that process, researching the spot. So kind of some interesting little strategies that can come up in Chaos that you wouldn't see in a normal race.
Yeah, and apparently, legendary Erdrick's armor, also not worth much in the vanilla game. Once again, Talon shake.
Yep, those vendors just didn't know what they were buying. They didn't know what they were looking at. What is this shoddy looking Erdrick's armor? What is this? I'll give you 2 gold for that. So I think, oh, thank you.
Yeah, those vendors must have been working that pawn.
And Betastrep picks up
his armor, you'd say.
And jkoper unable to get over to the search spot, and the Armored Knight in Hawksness is one of the more formidable enemies in the seed. And all the other enemies just seem to be going down fast and furious, and is which ones are giving good experience points and which ones in some cases are really difficult to run from, because you don't want to waste your time trying to run from an enemy if you're just never getting away either. So it's another thing that can happen in Chaos with super massive high agility monsters. They may not be worth much experience wise, but it may be just faster to kill them instead of trying to run from them. Whereas the opposite is almost always true in standard flags. When you have a very low value enemy, oftentimes the time it takes to listen to the dialogue of actually killing the monster is worse than just running away from it.
And we do see Jackimus did a little exploration off a cave, and it actually looks like that is all there was to be found is the Tallet Cave. So we won't be seeing too much of the swamp, the other side of swamp.
Yeah, he picks up his torch, and not sure if he's ready to cast a return yet or not, and he does. So full clear is Jackimus as well, and he'll continue exploring to the west. Probably going to take an in-stop soon. Seems to be pretty low on MP after that trip to the second continent. I don't know if anyone has taken a look at the swamp cave spike tile yet. That could be a potential grind if there is any grinding to be done. Betastrep with the flute strats on the golem. I'm not sure if the golem, maybe it's just really hard to run away from, one of those monsters I was discussing.
And WillWagner did a very efficient grind here in the desert, just a little west of the castle. Perhaps looking for that hurt more spell to make a grind or a later game easier.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. He has gone off to a huge experience lead, kind of subtly and without much fanfare, as he hasn't really been hopping into any locations that we recognize. He's just been kind of wandering the overworld, so I haven't really been catching what he's been up to. But yeah, he's got almost 5,000 experience points now, and on almost, he's on level 13 now. We don't know how many points it takes necessarily for him to get to 14, unless he wants to go and talk to the king. That's the only way that he'll get that information unless he acquires the princess later on. But just continuing to smash these enemies. The Wolf Lord here seems to be worth 107. I don't know if he's looking for that skeleton. Joel Magi is running away, but something here is worth a lot, and he has taken a nice lead.
It definitely wouldn't be those skeletons, because they were only giving, I believe, 4, but Joel Magi's are giving well over 200, so...
So he's found himself a zone that he likes. Now, how long do you stay here? Like you said, maybe Hurt More is on his mind, or maybe even Repel if they don't have that yet, just to make the rest of the seed go a little bit faster. But he's going to need to start getting some exploration done. This is one of those seeds where it's not like a slow seed. You've got to cover some maps soon because everyone is furiously looking for these quest items. And if he's not far from home yet, he might be behind exploration-wise and unable to catch up on that standpoint, even though he has a nice experience lead. So it's always it's two different factors when you play Dragon Warrior Randomizer that are kind of they balance each other. You have to get the experience necessary to defeat the Dragon Lord, but you also need to explore the map and find the quest items to even have access to the Dragon Lord. And those two things kind of have to be done simultaneously, and if you focus too hard on one and not enough on the other, it'll end up costing you time at the end. So it's part of the skill involved.
That's definitely something that has not occurred, as WillWagner is only just a little northwest of the castle.
Yeah, I've noticed this is right near that rainbow drop cave we saw right near the beginning, I believe. And so he's just really seen probably Brockenary, the Rainbow Drop Cave, the Stones Cave, and Tanteagle at this point. Not sure if he's even gone anywhere else, but there's something to be said for the early grind. That can, in some situations, it can be a great idea. That's just sometimes you go a little bit too far with it, so I'll have to wait and see. We don't. I don't know if we've gotten a look at the stats yet. Maybe he's not happy with strength progression or something like that, and maybe feels like they're going to need a lot of levels in this seed, but he is still grinding.
And our tracker noting that apparently everybody does have Hurt More, just nobody's been using it because they're all happy enough to just whack away at things with the big.
Better than me also, Ryu, since you play a lot of Chaos, but I think a lot of monsters have at least some Hurt More resistance in Chaos because that resistance is just shuffled up and randomized like everything else, right? So in standard flags, you know which monsters pretty much are always going to go down to a Hurt More. You know approximately how much HP they have, and the fact that they have virtually no resistance, and you can just lay down the Hurt More on a whole bunch of enemies. But in Chaos, I don't know if it's quite that simple.
Yeah, in Chaos, they do have their Hurt More resistances shuffled, or rather randomized, so it is entirely possible for them to have high resistances, as well as a high defense to where it could be quite troublesome to do damage to them. We do get a look at the stats in level 13, 123 attack power with Erdrick's Sword. Stats are actually looking rather nice. So,
yeah, already triple digit HP, so no problem there. Yeah, so a lot, of course, comes down to how nasty the Dragon Lord fights are. You actually need really overpowered stats because those fights are so difficult. But if they are somewhat on par with, a normal standard, those stats are approaching good enough, right? So I think you'd want a little bit more strength, but and yet in Chaos, sometimes the fights can actually be easier than a standard flags race, right? If you happen to have a Dragon Lord 2, for example, that's on the low end HP wise with 100 or 110 HP and doesn't have any spells, you could maybe make do actually with even lesser stats than normal, going in a little bit quote unquote early into Sherlock in some cases. So yeah, these stats are just fine, especially for level 13 and being 24 minutes into the seed. And we finally have Cantline on screen.
And we get a silver shield purchase on only 50 gold, and flame swords for 140. If you didn't have enough gold for that silver shield, I mean, you'd possibly sell off the sword maybe.
Yep, and then when you get back toward the castle, you can always pick up the sword again. But in this case, 50 gold, you're probably always going to have enough for the silver shield in this case. So that's a nice upgrade. And we got started off with some nice coordinates, but then 71 to the west. So 12 and 71, and 50-50 shot that is Erdrick's armor. Now, I don't remember if Betastrep knows that the Swamp Cave is right next to Tantegel. So you may want to just go right back there and grab that princess.
And interesting for us is we know, seeing as how Jackimus has found Cole, we actually do know that Cole had the token, so that is going to be the armor, and there is Garenham just to the north of Cole as well.
I totally missed him going into Cole, so nice bit of divergence with Jackimus finding Cole and Garenham, and we're going to see if there's anything even worth looking at in these chests. Not sure exactly what he's searching for. Maybe the death necklace, because he's got all the quest items and the sword, and yet he continues to open treasure chests and explore caves here. So not 100% clear what Jackimus is up to.
Necklace or the fighter's ring, perhaps.
Maybe the fighter's ring, but yeah, if he kind of scours this dungeon here, and he is now double checking. Maybe he forgot that he started the game with the stones. That can happen sometimes. So he did double check, and yep, he does have all the quest items, so no need to dive to the grave. He's going to pass on potential fighter's ring or a potential death necklace. Not strictly necessary items, so you don't want to waste your time when you might have a potential grind spot in mind somewhere else. And he needs to find Cantland now. The last thing he needs is the Erdrick's armor, and he can get it started with endgame.
And we actually see Will Wagner at level 15 now. So 15 came much faster than 14 did, that's for sure. And casting Repel, so it looks like Will Wagner is prepared to go ahead and set out for exploration.
9,700 experience points for WillWagnerMusic? Oh my goodness, that's a heck of an early game grind right there. I feel like that's the most I've ever seen someone stay next to the castle and grind. 9,700 experience. Well, Betastrep has a staff upgrade now, trading in the harp that he acquired in the mountain cave for the staff.
Yeah, we have quite a bit of a big find for Betastrep there, because that is a staff pickup and a Sharlock sighting.
Yep, and so if you can remember how to get back here, Rainbow Drop Cave was right near start, so he is returning in that direction. And I missed if he has found the token yet in Cole, but otherwise maybe he's got his mind set on rescuing the princess perhaps while he's here. You don't have the token yet. If you don't have the token yet, you can't go trade him for the Rainbow Drop. And he's going to start counting. No princess, even though it's right there under the castle. Just going to go 71 west from here. So, bold move, Betastrep on the count. Going clear across the world looking for that armor.
That's a lot of counting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a situation where I guess the monsters just are not really threatening them. So he feels like, and if he's been in that direction and it's just a straight shot with no, water or mountains in the way, I guess maybe it's not so bad. It feels like a long way, but, I made the calculation that it was faster than just picking up the princess, all the things that go with that, potentially a little bit of a time sink.
I'd venture a guess that it's probably going to be through the other side of that swamp cave. But Will Wagner is actually at almost 10,000 experiences at level 16, so all spells have been gained at this point, and has a substantial lead of over 5,000 experience.
I can't wait to talk to him about what the mindset was here. If he was running into some monsters that he felt like that he was weak, or if he really was fishing for that repel spell, perhaps, which I think they learned pretty late, or if he wanted hurt more. I want to know what's going on here, because he stayed there for a long time. And part of the problem in Chaos is like we said before, it's not like you can get to the level and then just run from everything, because there are just monsters that you just are not going to run from in Chaos. They just, they have agility in the 200s, and you're just not going to run. So it's a little bit, I don't know. If you go too far with that grind, it seems like it could cost you. But he does have a nice, easy time of trying to cover the world with the repel spell in place now. Sporting only 29 defense though on level 16.
Yeah, that agility at level 13, that agility is just not.
We have 42 agility on level 13 for betastrep. What is happening to these guys? That could make for a very nasty Sharlock dive. So, yeah, in a case like that, you might want a few extra levels. Maybe that's what Will was worried about.
And we do see a princess rescue over on jkoper's side. So he's preparing himself already.
I really feel like that's the logical move. I didn't catch if jkoper has seen the coordinates yet or not, but you know, it's almost like you can just get her on the way if you're going to that second continent, or if you happen to take a death warp and you're back at the castle anyways or something. It's just, why not just go get the princess? You know, it's I don't know. It's one of those things that's a little bit of a judgment call, I guess. And if betastrep's able to knock this count out really easily, then maybe he saves some time by not doing it. So it's a judgment call. So it's nice to see that declining. Shows you that it wasn't really an easy decision.
And it looks like betastrep did attempt to count it, but perhaps got a little turned around at some point, because we see they are searching quite a few times.
Yeah, and not a whole lot of resources remaining to work with either. I don't know didn't catch if their MP totals are on the low side when they start out from start. They do have plenty of HP right now, but he is frantically searching all over this desert. He has completely lost his count. And he could, if he's close, he could just stumble upon it. You know, if you're persistent enough here and you cover a wide area, you can just eventually find it this way with brute force. But you know, you don't want 2, 3, 4 minutes to go by where you're just searching squares. It's just, this is too fast of a seed to be doing that. So yeah, and meanwhile, jkoper is in the tablet cave on that second continent, so he hadn't explored the second continent yet. So all that stuff of getting the princess and everything, it was just kind of en route to his normal routing. So, you know, I like what he did there with that. And now he's going to get the torch, and he's going to be done with the second continent, and he has the princess. Not sure if he actually has even seen the coordinates yet, so it's possible that he got the princess preemptively. Occasionally, that's a good play.
I mean, if it's already right there en route, and especially if you've already searched the Hawksness spot, and there's been no sighting of the token and no sighting of the armor yet, then yeah, I would say with picking a princess is a good choice.
The Hawksness enemy only being worth 103 experience or something, you know, you might want to at least just check the spike tile anyway in the swamp cave, right? Because you might want to know if there's a grind spot there. So it's all just kind of makes sense for him to get it, I think, at that time. But interesting that betastrep tried to go without, and so far unsuccessful on that count. So he may try it again, or he may bail out on that plan and get the princess after all. He's almost completely out of resources now. And it looks like he is trying to pick up his count on the other side of the mountains now.
I thought for a moment that something may have happened to Jackimus, but maybe a quick break to get something to drink, or maybe go fix a sandwich. Not the best thing to do in the middle of a race, but I mean, sure.
I don't know. He probably felt the race was going way too well for him, so it's like, you know, let the other guys catch up a little bit. And just, you know, he's got all the quest items already. He's got the sword. You know, it's 33 minutes into the race. Like, you know, might as well take a break. It's kind of a sprint in the beginning, you know. It's like you're out of breath. But yeah, no, all he needs is that armor, and he has the coordinates already, I believe. So I don't know if he's counting now. Doesn't look like he's counting right now, but did he get to Cantlin? I thought Jack got to Cantlin as well.
I did not see him get to Cantlin yet.
Okay, maybe it was one of the other runners they saw in there. So that's the key thing that he needs. He needs those coordinates so that he can grab the armor, and he is done. He also has not yet found that staff cave that betastrep found to trade in for the Staff of Rain. And I missed where that was. It was up right next to Sharlock, wherever that was, pretty far out of the way. We see a Sharlock sighting here for jkoper, so he's maybe going to find that, but did he ever go through the mountain cave to get the harp? We're not sure about that. So that would be kind of unfortunate if he finds the staff cave without the harp.
I think jkoper is about to stumble upon his need for those coordinates, along with, or his need for rescuing that princess here, but along with that staff rain cave, and jkoper actually making it to the mountain cave.
Well, I think Mountain Cave's right on the other side of Charlock, and Cantlin here is on the west side of Charlock. So if he's going from west to east, he'll probably be over there next, finding the staff cave. But you know, if he didn't go through the Mountain Cave, which was pretty close to start, wasn't it? Then he won't have the harp. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it definitely was. It's right next to Remolder, which Will Wagner is actually going through it right now.
Okay. In the meanwhile, he'll get these coordinates, and he'll probably be glad that he has the princess. And especially from his perspective, he doesn't have the token yet either, because he hasn't found Cole yet as well. So, you know, he knows that these coordinates probably lead to something good. As a matter of fact, it's guaranteed from his perspective to be either the token or the armor, because he already has the flute in hand, and the old man does indeed give coordinates, meaning that it can't be nothing. So he knows that something's there, and he has the princess already.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if we don't see a coordinates check from jkoper as soon as he exits.
Yeah, as soon as he steps out. Hey, where am I? Yep, absolutely. Betastrep making a long walk back to the west. I don't know if he's going to attempt to pick up his count from a landmark that he feels like he was pretty solid on, but he's going directly west.
Well, he has a princess now, so he's making a beeline for what.
So he's going to ballpark it, and then he's going to start using the princess, and we'll see why he was a little bit off when he was searching this desert region. Maybe it's just a few steps further south or further east than he had in mind. Let's see here. He's got 6 and 70. So he's got to get a little bit more north from here, and that's about it. Yeah. So he was searching all around it, like he was probably right next to it, and there it is. Yeah, he searched all those squares right around there. So that's tough for him. He had to make a separate trip to go get the princess when he was right there. But he's got it now.
Yeah, almost had that count, and we'll pick up the token right after it. So a quick trip back to the castle, grab a rainbow drop, and figure out where am I going to grind to get the levels.
Yeah. Grind and go, because he already has that staff, so he can go pick up the rainbow drop, which is right next to start right now. And yeah, unless he has a particular zone in mind right out here, there's no reason for him to not just return immediately. He doesn't need to search anything else. He doesn't even have to go into Garenham here in terms of, you know, what's back here in these 3 chests that he would be. Looks, you know, he could just cast return right now and go grind. So, and Jackimus is almost there, but he does need that staff cave over next to Charlock. And I'm curious how Jack was able to get to the token, but was unable to get to the staff cave. It must have been that he must have taken a death, like, you know, right before he found it.
And I do see
right near each other. Cole and the staff cave are near each other.
You see jkoper did indeed have the harp, so missed seeing him go into the mountain cave, but has the staff now.
Okay, so that's good news for him. He was in the region. He was able to trade it in for the staff. And I thought Cole was right on the other side of that, right? So did he get the token as well then? Because the staff is right on one side of Charlotte. Cole's right on the other, is it not? Or am I thinking of a different town there? Oh, it was Cantlin that was over there.
Yeah, Cantlin was on the other side.
That's right. Cole is over here near where the armor was picked up.
Yeah,
so Cole finds the armor. He's got the princess. As soon as he tracks down the spot for the armor, he will find Cole and get the token as well. So jkoper is very close to grind and go mode as well.
Yeah, Cole was a far trip to the west, which once you went that far west, then yeah, you did quickly find the armor as well if you had the coordinates and princess. And
meanwhile, WillWagnerMusic, with all those experience points, he has to still find all these things that these guys pretty much are done doing. And I don't know if he's on his way through to get the princess now, or maybe he still hasn't checked the second continent. Maybe he'll get through. he is totally overpowered now, having the most experience points by far of anyone in the race, over 11,000 experience. And is that still level 16 for Will? So some of these levels are pretty far apart now.
Yeah, that is still level 16 with a 5,000 experience lead for Will. He has picked up the silver harp though, so only a token and one more cave left to find along with the camp.
Yeah, so he's got to find that region where Sharlock and Cantlin and the Staff Cave are all next to each other. And so with the princess in hand, you know, if he just finds that clump of that cluster, he'll be right back in it because he'll have the coordinates at that point. He'll be able to beeline over to where the coordinates are, and when you're there, you can find the token basically at the same time. So yeah, that's going to be the critical thing for him in his exploration. How much of the map, though, has he explored, and how long will it take for him to find that cluster? Cantlin, Sharlock, and Staff Cave.
And speaking of Cantlin, here is coordinates for Jackimus. So we'll see if Jackimus needs Princess, or if Jackimus is going to go for quite a long walk.
Well, here's the thing, too. If he hasn't done so already, Jackimus has to heal up from here and check out that cave. It's right outside town, or it's right on the other side of Sharlock here, in order to get that staff before he makes his way back to Tanteagle to start his count. Otherwise, he'll miss out on the opportunity to trade that staff in. He'll have to make an extra trip. So he does do the right thing, and he heals up from here. He's going to continue on the other side of Sharlock. If he makes it there, he'll be glad that he didn't just instantly cast Return to start that count.
And jkoper has picked up his token and is going to most likely go get the rainbow drop now.
And Jackimus does have... Yeah, Jackimus does have Staff Cave now too. And it's basically a dead end on the landmass, so he might return directly out of this cave. And he does. So return back to Tanteagle for Jack, staff in hand. He's got all the quest items. He can go grab the drop from here at his leisure. He may go directly behind here to get the princess and start that count in his favor as well. Unfortunately for him, he was over there already picking up the token, but he just didn't have the coordinates or the princess yet, so he missed out on the armor on that first trek. So he's going to have to retrace some steps to get right back over to where Cole was again to pick up the armor, but he's doing it all kind of efficiently. The routing is working out nicely for Jackimus. And betastrep, just grind and go, baby. He is just grinding. He's finding the same desert, I think, with the Joel Magi that Will Wagner grinded on earlier. So it's similar that they found the same spot, and they both love this Joel Magi here.
Yeah, betastrep and jkoper both grinding around in this desert here.
Yep, jkoper has the drop, and we're not actually picked up the armor yet, but you know, he does seem to be grinding. But yeah, betastrep is definitely in grind and go mode. He just needs levels, and he may have even gone into that cave to pick up the drop already, not sure, but it's just right there. So
I do believe jkoper did pick up the armor. Since he got the token, he had to have passed up the armor on the way to the token.
Well, no, I think he may have gotten that before finding the coordinates. Will and jkoper both found the Cantlin pretty late, so he may have gotten the token first and not gotten the armor yet. So that's the thing that Jack had happen to him as well. He had to go all the way back to the same area to pick up the armor after already having found Cole before, and he's just now getting the princess. So Jack is going to use the princess for this count, and he's going to make his way right back over to Cole for that. So advantage, I would say betastrep over Jackimus at this point. He has the experience and the item lead, but the interesting race is between betastrep and WillWagnerMusic right now. And how long will betastrep grind before he wants to at least take a shot into Sharlock in chaos mode? Like we said before, sometimes you don't necessarily need a lot of stats, right? If you can get to the Dragon Lord, sometimes you get a paper Dragon Lord and you can win. On the other hand, I think they're dealing with some really low agility and trying to dive through some Sharlock enemies is not always that exciting. And I think they're still low on MP as well. I don't know if we've seen their stats lately, but betastrep clearly feeling like 16's not good enough. So Will Wagner still has a bit of a lead, and Will is still on 16, so it's a long way from 16 to 17 apparently. Here's some stats. Still really low agility. Wow. Ryu, what do you think about diving through Sharlock in a Chaos Seed with 58 agility?
I think that 58 agility, I mean, you're running from things in Sharlock anyways in Chaos. But then take a look at that defense at only 79. You're likely to not survive against several hits from possibly Dragonlord 1 as well as Dragonlord 2, and then the enemies along the way. And then your MP resources you were just mentioning, not sure what the MP count is. At 16, it's 82. So 10 heal mores. I think we're going to be looking for either a magical big boost level, or we're going to be grinding for a while.
Yeah. When they have full MP on 16, looks like they have 82 MP, which is a little on the low side. It's only 10 heal mores total. And a lot of times you don't get down to the Dragonlord with all your MP because, you know, you're casting some kind of sleep on enemies just so that you can run away from them, or, you know, potentially stop spell. I don't know if they'll be using stop spell in this particular seed. I don't see a lot of reason to use that, but oftentimes some runners like to use the sleep run tactic on several Sharlock enemies. So yeah, you may, especially with the low agility, you're just not going to be able to run from stuff. So sleep run becomes a serious option. So you may want a lot more MP than that to work with. 82 is a little bit low. But yeah, it's definitely, there are some seeds where this is beatable on 16. It all depends on the dive, and you know, sometimes Dragonlord is really weak. On the other hand, there are some other cases where we might need about 8 more levels because, you know, Dragonlord 2 has sleep and Dragonlord breath, and DL1 is hitting you for 100, and so we still could have a ways to go here. It looks like a close race.
So far, it does seem that way. Everybody's just about finished on their collection, and here we are at 12,000 experience. What would normally, in the vanilla randomizer, get you to level 17, and we're still sitting at 16.
Yeah, and Will just found that cluster, by the way. So he's got himself the staff and the coordinates, and he just cast return. He's going directly to the west. So that happened a bit faster than I would have expected because he was way behind on exploring the map. But he has found the right sections of the map in the right time frame here, and he's just about done, and he's hanging on to that experience. It looks like betastrep has just recently passed him on that experience race. But Will is very quickly going to be in grind and go mode now as well, with a good chance at least attempting second place or running for first or second place. You know, you never know how many failed dives are in front of these runners too. Sharlock is a whole other animal in chaos mode, but for now they have a slight advantage. betastrep and WillWagnerMusic with the slight advantage over Jackimus and jkoper until otherwise proven in Sharlock.
Well, we have level 17 at 13,000 for betastrep, and some decent stat increases. Agility is still low, MP is still low.
A lot of HP.
Yeah. Everything else stayed low, but the HP power got big increases here.
Yeah, this is kind of a silly stat line now because you, like you said, really good attack power and not great NP. So that's kind of a little weird. But then with all of this HP, that's actually a stat that you really like to see in Chaos because for all sorts of reasons, if Dragonlord 2 has sleep, it's really helpful to have us 160 HP. You can survive getting put to sleep a couple of times in some cases. If Dragonlord can punch you for 80 or 90 hit points at a time, it's nice to have 160 hit points. So if you happen to find a death necklace in there, that could be a thing as well. It's a little risky in chaos mode, but with so much HP, all of a sudden the death necklace becomes more of a possibility. And Jackimus is actually going into Sharlock. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's thinking about going for game. He might be looking for that death necklace right now and just trying to see if the Dragonlord's really weak. whereas these other runners are looking for really big stats. So that's a weird stat line though, 158 HP and only 61 agility. So like, yeah, it's great if you can get to the Dragon Lord, but good luck getting there on low MP and low agility.
And most of ours are on strength HP build, so it would make sense for the strength and the HP to be high. But then we look over at Jackimus, and 4 levels behind betastrep, he's at 50 agility. So we'll have to see what that agility looks like once he catches up in level. But meanwhile, betastrep looks to be heading for Charlotte now as well.
Yeah, he just picked up 18, so it wasn't far between 17 and 18, and missed exactly what he picked up on 18. But yeah, he's feeling like now's the time. It's possible because he does have the GPS. He may have checked to the GPS to see how long it was to 19, and if it was a long way to 19, then it's like, well, yeah, it's go time now. I'm not going to grind, all the way to 19 when I could just go on these stats right now. So sometimes that's what you do in Chaos. You pick up those couple of extra levels if they're close, and then as soon as she says you're a few thousand away, it's like, all right, it's go time. So betastrep going into 18, going for game. May or may not look for the death necklace on the way. We'll have to see as he gets down there.
Yeah, I know. That's something I've certainly done myself in Chaos whenever I've had to rescue the princess. If I haven't actually had to do it, well, then I don't get that benefit. But when it's been required to, I'll certainly check. And, a couple hundred experience, sure, why not? Kill a couple more enemies, get...
Yeah, and that goes back to that decision, like, do you get right there? That's just like one more reason to get the princess if it's convenient. It's useful in that end game situation where you don't have to go all the way back to the king to get that information. You could be, in Charlotte Castle. Hey, am I close to another level? What's going on here? And you use that item and you get the information. So, so especially halfway through at 18, and Will Wagner, I think, is ready to go now. He may or may not have the actual drop in hand, but he's probably thinking about whether or not he needs more levels. He's really close to Charlotte, so he may be going in now.
Yeah, well, Wagner definitely did get to drop all required items.
So now we can just concentrate on which level they're on and where they're at on the map and what their stats are looking like. And looks like Jackimus is actually, in terms so might be in the lead. He's actually going in early. Oh, wait a minute. No, betastrep's in the U-shaped room. So Jackimus is just like a screen or so behind betastrep. Of course, he's 4 levels behind, but that may or may not matter, depending on how tough the fights are. So
possibly gonna just be a look at what the tile has to offer, and then seeing what is in store with DL1 and 2. Especially on Jackimus's case, as there is no MP left almost.
He's been burning the MP. I just noticed that also. Okay, good point. So maybe he's going on a death necklace type dive, or just checking out what's in all the zones, like you said, see how hard it is to run from everything and so on. So good point there. Just doing a little grinding in Charlotte. Oftentimes the enemies in Charlotte are worth a pretty good amount of experience anyways.
And betastrep's side over here, betastrep is down, but we do see level 19 was not that far away, and wow, that response speed. There's the agility we were missing.
Yeah, that helps a lot. That's going to put his defense power up over the magic 86 threshold for the double Dragon Lord breath attacks to be safe there. He's got all sorts of HP anyways to buffer any of that. So so a lot's going to come down on what abilities does the Dragon Lord 1 and 2 have, especially Dragon Lord 2 with sleep and Dragon Lord breath is a very nasty combination. Barring any of that, betastrep's in a really good position to knock out this seed in under an hour here.
And it looks like our tile enemy is a Metal Scorpion for 190. Goes down in 2 hits, and yeah, I thought so. We're going to see a Gwalen check. 2,000 to the next level. I think we'll see an attempt on the... Yeah, we're going to see an attempt on the Dragon Lord.
Absolutely. He's got 9 heal mores in the books. He's got just absolutely tons of HP. He's got really good attack power. Let's do it. What does Dragon Lord 1 have in store? Will we even get to find out?
Oh, a stop spell. How vanilla.
The spell has not been stopped, sir. We have the Erdrick's armor equipped.
And so that is DL1 down.
Moving on to DL2 now, who does ambush and Dragon Lord Breath, but no sign of the sleep spell just yet. Not even bothering with any stop spell attempts on betastrep side. He's just going for it as if normal. And if we don't see a sleep spell in the next 2 or 3 turns, there's a really good chance that this Dragon Lord is going down. Yeah, so Dragon Lord in Chaos, even if it doesn't have any spells, it could have up to 230 hit points, and it could have the heal spell at the end of all that. But even with all that, betastrep has so much attack power, he should be able to do 230 damage fairly easily. But we shall see. He is attacking and healing, attacking and healing, attacking and healing. Yeah, no sign of a sleep spell, and down he goes.
Doesn't matter. I was about to say, not getting much of a chance for doubles, but doesn't.
Double attacks not needed. HP was somewhere in the middle range, definitely not in the 200s. And heal was not cast. It could still maybe potentially have a 25% heal, and it just didn't cast it or something. But most likely just a plain old vanilla style, middle of the road Dragon Lord with about 150 HP or so, and these runners have overpowered stats for a fight like that there.
And speaking of which,
no problem.
In good position for a second place finish here, as he's heading to Dragon Lord right this moment.
Yep, and he's on 18 as well, and I didn't catch the exact number for 19, but he's probably not a whole far away from 19. But certainly 18 looked like it was good enough. As long as he doesn't have any problems in Charlock with the low agility, but
19 should be gained here, I think, with the Metal Scorpion being killed as the boss enemy.
And he's going after this Metal Scorpion on the way anyway, so.
And he is going to want that extra agility boost for that defense. Otherwise, Dragon Lord 2, yeah, he might punch you for a little bit.
So there's 19 for WillWagnerMusic, which is the same situation betastrep found himself on, getting 19 near the bottom of Charlock, approaching the spike tile. Successfully runs from the Drakey, and he's going to fight his way through the Metal Scorpion and prepare himself. Right now with 10 heal mores, I could see him having the same situation as betastrep with just 9 heal mores. Nope, he's managing to get through, and he's going to use some of those herbs. So 10 heal mores to work with. And unless Dragon Lord 1 has some surprise other than stop spell, this is pretty much in the books for WillWagnerMusic. So let's see what we have.
And betastrep did finish with an official time of 56 minutes and 50 seconds here.
And another stop spell attempted by Dragon Lord 1. So heavy on the stop spell, not so heavy on anything that's actually effective. And WillWagnerMusic entering with 10 heal mores in reserve. That should be pretty straightforward second place finish for WillWagnerMusic. We'll have to see any potential mismenuing or other mistakes. And potentially under an eye, he's probably going to miss the sub-hour Chaos Seed here by just a hair. But yeah, betastrep sub-hour, first place finish. Moving on to the Elite 8, the round of 8 here in the Dragon Warrior League action. We'll be starting up next week, probably starting Monday, and depending on when things are scheduled for between all the runners, could be any day next week. We'll be down to, I don't know, Ryu, if we're doing 4-way races for the Elite 8 again, or if we're going to be doing heads-up races. But yeah, top 2 for this round of 16 will be racing next week in the round of 8 with some slightly different flags, not just straight chaos. We're going to have something slightly different for next week in the second round of the playoffs. And WillWagnerMusic finishes up in second place. He'll be moving on to the round of 8, joining betastrep. And we'll get an official time here.
And yeah, it will be 2 groups of 4 for week 7, and then week 8 will be one last group of 4, with the top 2 going on to the final.
All right, so really just 2 league races next week then. It'll be 2 groups of 4, as you mentioned, so we'll have to really keep a close eye on scheduling to make sure we don't miss out on those some evening next week, most likely during the week. We'll have to see when those get scheduled. It's just a matter of coordinating personal schedules amongst the runners and see if we can get those restreamed for us here on the Randomania networks. It's been kind of a blast so far watching this league action with all these flag sets that, you know, a lot of people weren't even aware of, really. So it's kind of breathing new life into this randomizer, getting a little bit of, you know, variety into the mix here.
I have to say, I wouldn't mind giving the standard map, even with some non-standard flags, some more work. That was actually a rather interesting way of playing, where you know exactly where the locations are. Maybe not exactly what's in those locations, but you know the locations. And Will Wagner did finish,
and I believe
with 59:54, so just under that hour mark by 6 seconds.
Oh, sub-hour hype. WillWagnerMusic getting it done for second place. Very nice. And yeah, the standard map isn't the vanilla map. Races are kind of interesting, and I think what we had to do in this league was, correct me if I'm wrong, that we had to have like a special version of the randomizer in order to play that. But I think in the very next release that the creator McGrew has been working on, I think we are probably going to have, you know, an option to go back to the vanilla maps again, if not in this very next release, in a very, you know, near future release. So that's something a lot of people enjoy as well. So who do we have here? What's going on?
How you doing? It's Will. Good game.
Good game, Will. Good game. How was the end there? Wondering whether or not you were going to get in there for second place. That must have been stressful.
It was an early decision because I got killed a few times around the castle. I found the big stick, and then I found that sweet spot underneath the cave, Roll Magi, and I made a decision there that I was going to make sure that I got to a point where I leveled up enough to feel confident enough to finish second, because I felt like if I stretched myself, I'd risk blowing it going for first. So I just tried to play it a little safe in the beginning, and I over leveled like crazy, and I just happened to fall into a lot of the quest items as I was going through. As I went through the map kind of northwest, I circled around the coast, and it took me everywhere.
Yeah, and that was the very next question I was going to ask you, because that was quite a different strategy from what everyone else did, which, like you said, you just like really over leveled right in the beginning. You just you had hardly gone anywhere yet, and you got like, I think, all the way up to 15 with like 10,000 experience points. And so that was the mindset. You just wanted to get to the point where you just weren't going to have any trouble covering the map from there on out, right? So make sure you get repel, make sure you get hurt more, make sure you get stats, and you were just staying there getting experience. It was interesting to watch, because you went out to a huge experience lead, and we were just wondering if you were going to find all the items in time.
Well, when I was leveling up, I said, oh, you know what, I'll quit once I get repel, because I had pretty high strength and I thought I could ward off a lot of creatures just with that. And I never got repel until, I guess, 15. And when I finally got to 15, I saw how much experience it was, around, like you said, 10,000. And I'm like, I had to level up so much for this. If they have to grind at the end of the game, I'm going to make up so much time just traveling the board, having repel at a high enough attack where I can avoid a lot of encounters that they would just have to run from.
Yeah, I love that. And What was funny though is that because you guys had such low agility, even at high levels, I don't know how much you were actually repelling, at least in the beginning, because you still hadn't bought any equipment. So we looked, and you were at, I think, level 15. You had 29 defense power. So it was hard to defense break anything until you finally found, towns that had, the silver shield and things like that, and then all of a sudden it was easy.
That was my favorite part because I knew I had pretty low agility and I didn't have any items, so the Droll Magi would never run from me on my lower levels, even though I had crazy attack. So I was able to one-hit them, not spend any magic, and go between them, Axe Knights, and a few other enemies to do minimal damage. And I thought I'd get enough just to kind of armor myself at that location, but it really only had half plate. So I ended up just getting killed by rogue scorpions a few times because they had high agility.
Yeah, well, it was definitely an interesting move, and it paid off for you big time because you secured second place pretty handily. It was, nobody else has finished yet, so you secured second place pretty solidly. And like you said, it was not very long for you to find the critical areas of the map. You had that cluster where Caitlin and Sharlock and the Staff Cave were right next to each other. And as long as you found that, then you would know where to go for the armor, and the token was right there. And so it kind of, as long as you could find that area on the map, you were pretty much set, and you found it pretty fast. So because that's one of the downfalls of grinding so long, is if you can't find everything, then you're just stuck. You can't get into Sharlock, right? You're just stuck looking for the items. And everybody else is in there, but it worked out well for you because you covered the map really nicely with the repel spell.
I was really worried because the first thing I did after I got to a level where I felt pretty comfortable at 15, I was going to go over to the cave that I saw in the top left part of my screen, but it just so happened that I was going through the coast. I'm like, oh, you know what? Let me just pan over the coast because it's probably not going to go that far. And it found Hawk's Nest, and then it went nowhere forever. So I got through that whole side of the map, and I'm like, I didn't find anything. Everything has to be in one area. By the time I went up and I wrapped around to Sharlock, and I found that was the Silver Harp Cave, I'm like, I hope I saved a trip here because I found the Silver Harp Cave before I found before I found anything else.
Yep. Yeah, and you did have the harp though in possession right at that time, so you didn't have to make another trip. So yeah, and we just witnessed Jackimus was in a Dragon Lord fight only on level 16, and jkoper was fighting at the exact same time at level 19, and unfortunately for Jackimus, level 16 seemed to be just a little short. He was unable to win on that fight. He ran out of MP and lost to Dragon Lord 2, but jkoper was at 19 and he just took third place. So congrats to jkoper for a strong chaos race in just a little over an hour.
1 hour.
And I think you, Will, and jkoper were a little slower finding Urgic Sword in the beginning because it was right to the south and you guys kept going to the west for a few minutes. Not to overcome that, and unfortunately for jkoper, he just was never quite able to catch up on that deficit of being a little bit behind in the first 5 to 10 minutes. So, but third place for jkoper, and Jack looks like so far he might be continuing to try and play this out. He's going to take another run into Sharlock, still on level 16.
This was it was an interesting feeling because I prepped my dot done when I got through the bottom part of Sharlock without using any of my MP because I wasn't really sure. And then I got that double level between 16 and 18, and I went to check Gwaylin's Love, and I saw it was only 100 and something EXP. So I didn't even go and check for the death necklace, thinking that might cost me first or second place. And that's when I saw the dot done come in, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta go. And I thought I was going to be in trouble that whole time, and I was doubting because I was like, I picked up Gwaylin really quickly instead of counting coordinates. I didn't find Caitlin yet, so I was questioning every little minor thing that I did rather than leveling up to 15. And luckily, it was good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I noticed that betastrep, the first place finisher, is unable to join us. So I see him in chat a little bit, explaining a little bit about his run. The one area of concern he had was that he did actually attempt to get the overworld item without using the princess, and he attempted to count it out, and it was unsuccessful the first time, so it took him a little extra time to correct that mistake. But other than that, he was the first to acquire all the items, and therefore he was in grind and go mode a bit earlier than everyone else, and he was able to overcome an experience deficit by doing a dedicated grind 5 to 10 minutes earlier than everyone else, and resulted in a first place finish. So he's describing a little bit of that in chat. He knew it was a jet seed the whole time and just went like crazy, and had a pretty solid race.
He must have, he was flying through that probably. I thought I did pretty well leveling up, and my mid to late game was so fast that I was like, oh, I'm making pretty good time. And when I saw him come in done, I'm like, he must have really fast. Did he level up in the same location that I did?
Yeah, he did. He did it at the end, but he found the exact same as you did. Yep. So, and you had a 3,000 or 4,000 experience point lead over him, but then of course, you had to run around and find the items, and he was done getting the items, and so he was catching up, and he eventually overtook the lead a minute or two. But it was a good race. It was interesting, and we're also joined by jkoper, third place finisher. So how did things go for you, sir?
I mean, they're discussing the difference between first and second when it means absolutely nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It went okay. I don't know what level they all finish at.
I think all three of you finished at 19, actually. It seemed like between 18 and 19 was real fast, so you all went ahead and got 19 kind of on the way.
Yeah.
And Jackimus, at the same time you were fighting, he was attempting Dragon Lord at 16,
I think
which was significantly lower stats, and it looked like he might have been able to do it, but he did run out of resources and he died to the Dragon Lord. I think it was close, though. I didn't get an exact count on the HP. I don't know if you guys did. It seemed like a middle of the road DL2.
Yeah, I mean, there was really no in between 16 and 19. And 19 was really easy. The DL2 HP seemed relatively low, I think.
On the lower side, yeah. I knew it couldn't have been high.
Yeah.
And I think that the DL1 had stop spell I saw, and I didn't know.
I don't think we saw anything else from DL1. It was spamming the stop spell, so yeah, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, stop spell and low HP, and that's
so the
about as easy of a Dragon Lord fight as you can get.
One minor difference, and it's obviously just whatever direction you go. Of course, I think both you and Will took a 3 or 4 extra minutes to find the sword. Not that big of a deal, but it just. You guys were going west for the first few minutes, and the sword was to the south. But you all had it fairly quickly, so you got off the ground, relatively quick for a Chaos Seed, which sometimes can take forever, as we know.
Yeah. That
was it. We looked up, and the other guys were on like level 8 or 9, and you had just gotten the sword. You were still on the low levels, and it seemed like that was kind of the deficit for the whole run. Just a few minutes behind on those progressions throughout, but it seemed like you ran a solid race to me as far as chaos goes. It was, I didn't catch where you did your grind. Did you find that same desert spot with the Joel Magi? Was that your favorite monster?
Kind of. I mean, if it would have had a little more tolerance, a little less agility, and a little more desire to stick around for a bit.
So it was running from you
first and running away. Yeah, I couldn't even get a strike in most of the time. That's why a couple of times I went into Hawksness and dumped all my MP on some specters.
Yeah, that's right. And they were worth a little over 100 or so, but it was a guaranteed spike tile fight. So
I figured, over the grid, the long haul, it was probably a little faster to do that. and I could still grab the other monsters on the way.
Yeah, and the Spectre was not running or anything. It was, it had a pretty good strength rating, I think. So yeah, if you get every step, you're gonna get a Spectre, and it's 100. That seems perfectly reasonable, also.
Yeah. So the things that went wrong for me were, yeah, not finding the sword out of the way, and then I think at the beginning I decided to grind at the south of Start because it seemed like it was pretty decent. The Matadraki was the first thing I killed, and I was getting around 100 XP per enemy, or thereabouts anyway, maybe 50 to 100, and then I headed west eventually when I got to like close to level 10, and there was a bunch of monsters giving much more experience to the west, so I felt like I was behind from that. And then I tried the Sharlock at 16 and got owned by a Wraith, so I don't know what the right play was there. Probably grind up, and it was probably the beginning stuff that put me behind more than anything, I guess.
Yeah, 16 was, you guys still had such low agility. Of course, it seemed like the Dragon Lord would have been beatable at 16, but yeah, in a Chaos Seed particularly, when some monsters are even harder to run from than usual, you guys had a really strange stat line. You had very good attack power, not great on the MP, and of course really good HP and very poor agility until you did get to 19. So yeah, 16, both you and Jack, I guess, struggled on that level. Jackimus, are you here?
Yeah. How you doing, buddy?
Yes. I see a red screen on your screen there.
Just so you guys know, as the new owner of half of the world, rather large and drastic here. So, buckle up, Buttercup. We're in some chop.
I see the red screen. You did indeed accept half the world.
That's how you lose with style there, eh?
Yeah, and you had what looked like a pretty close fight against DL2 on 16, but before that, yeah, your early race seemed.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, early on it seemed things were going really well for you, and I actually am not clear on what the turning point was for you, but because first probably 20 minutes, I feel like you were in a pretty good lead.
Yeah,
but
surprised me too much there. I mean, things felt like they were going really good. I took a break because you called, and but on top of that, it's like I don't know, man. Like I saw, it's like, oh wow, Data fin. And Slayer's like, oh wow, Will fin it. It's like, that break didn't matter at all. That I don't know what those guys did. I just got outplayed, plain and simple. So that's just happened.
Yeah, it seemed like you guys all got to the point pretty quickly where you were not in too much danger of dying. So it was just, betastrep just happened to find everything pretty quickly. And Will had the opposite tactic of he did an early grind right next to the castle until like level 15. And then just like ran around with Repel and just got everything that way. So it worked out because your agility stat just wasn't growing. So he still had like 29 defense power, and so like the Droll Magi still wasn't running away, and he was just able to just rack up the experience early. Yeah, so he went that route.
That, like, it's like, hey, both of these Droll enemies that are worth all the experience in the world. That's chaos. That is chaos right there.
Yeah, it's funny the little things that are so different in chaos, but it seemed on our end like you guys all played really well, and it wasn't a particularly challenging seed. It wasn't too hard to get off the ground. Dragon Lord fights weren't too bad, and you guys, made quick work of the seed. So, congrats on a good race.
was really nothing to it as far as I could tell. Like, hey, you know, all three of you other guys there, I don't think that they're beta. Will, Copes, you guys wrecked me good. Well done. I mean, you know, Coper, buddy, rough that you got 3 there and you're and all that. Hey, man, let's just commentate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, GG Jack. Sorry, you're out too. I don't know why you're so quiet right now. You are for me anyway.
Yeah, I'm hearing that as well. I saw earlier that Discord was having issues, but who knows?
I'm the quiet fella up in here.
Yeah, you were. That's better now.
Oh, okay, well, I got the Discord open on my phone there, so I probably just wasn't putting it close enough to my face, so that's my bad.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you guys, the Friday night for me, you know, my first day off for the weekend here, so night's still young, and gonna do some social activity with some friends here, so thanks for the good race.
All right.
A little disappointed that I was dead last, but hey, man, I had fun. It's not the end of the world, and we'll see you guys in the next one, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for a good race and participating in the league. It was good fun to watch. And maybe we'll see you in the summer for a tournament.
Yes, absolutely. And just 2 parting thoughts. 1, I lasted in this for an hour and a half longer than my buddy Brian, so that's, you know, even better than actually winning the tournament. And number 2, let's go Bruins.
All right, that's JackimusWedge, and same to you, jkoper. I know you're involved in tons of different communities and randomizers and highly competitive tournaments, and glad we got to watch you in this league, and hopefully we'll see you in the summer as well for the tournament.
Yep, I'll be around. Thanks for the restream and commentary, guys. Talk to you later.
Awesome. And is Will Wagner still here? Will?
Yeah, right here.
What do you think about going on to the next round now?
I think Chaos Seed is a strong point for me. Even in the during league play, it was probably one of my better rounds, Chaos, and I'm interested to see if I can kind of adjust my style in a more traditional seed to make up some time, because I'm still lagging a little bit further behind on regular seeds.
Yeah. You are one of the newer runners to the randomizer in general, and all of a sudden now you're in the quarterfinals of league action, and it's been coming on strong. So it's been awesome to see how that's gone for you. And I forget exactly what we're looking at for flags for next week, but you're going to get another thing thrown at you that's new and interesting, and hopefully you'll bring us another good race. Definitely.
The whole last week, I found when I grind on the weekly seed, I tend to kind of burn out of interest. But I've been playing Dragon Warrior 4 randomizer the last week, and it's a much different kind of grind when you're going for like 6 to 8 hours to try and beat a seed. So this was kind of fun to rush through in just an hour.
Yeah, Chaos Seeds are often not so quick, but we've seen a couple of those so far. It can happen, and you guys handled it. And I think I'm not so sure if I think Ryu Station also had to run, my co-commentator. So, Will, good race. I think we are going to wrap it up because it's getting late.
Definitely.
And,
I appreciate
we'll see you all next week.
Thanks everyone for restream, for commentary, and tracking. This is awesome that everybody gets together and pitches in to have a great race, man. Thank you very much.
Awesome. So everybody that's still watching, give a good follow to all of our awesome runners tonight: JackimusWedge, Betastrep, WillWagnerMusic, jkoper, and special thanks to our Excellent job by Smashy. And as always, our restreamer tonight is MathGirl718. Always appreciated when we can get someone restreaming these and getting on the air for us. And co-commentator Ryusation, thanks for joining me tonight and pulling the doubleheader. You had another race commentating earlier tonight. Fun and awesome as always. So stay tuned for quarterfinal action in the league next week. Check your Randomania schedules for that as we go forward.
Oh, so. And if you wanted to know, next week it's the standard with normal experience instead of traditional fast. So if you like quick seeds, next week is not your bag.
Yeah, normal. I don't know if I've ever seen this randomizer really run with normal flags, so that's going to be a lot of grinding potentially on some of those seeds that go to like level 17, 18, 19. So we'll have fun with that, see how people handle it. It's the top 8 runners, or the 8 runners that have had the most success so far, so I'm sure they'll handle it. And I think that's going to do it. Thanks everybody for checking it out tonight, and see you next time.